Unspoken Issues.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Unspoken Issues podcast. 96 number ones moves on, and we're going right into June. Well, over there is Chris Armstrong. I'm Jesse Starcher. Chris, are you ready?
Hello.
Yeah, there he is. You want to talk some June 1996 comics today?
I'm excited. I was in the thick of it around this time.
Good. Well, so here are our results, and this is where I get to call you a fake fan. So, I'll go through the choices. We'll go from least to most here. So, the one that got the least votes on our poll was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1.
A travesty.
Yes, a travesty by far. And I made sure as soon as I posted it, my one vote went right to the Turtles. 12% of these votes here. So that's a big shock to me. But I think we may have, or I have probably spoke about Turtles #1 at some point. But aside from that, I was like, man, I wouldn't mind talking about it again. So 12% Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. And then tied for second was the Star Slammer special. This was a Walt Simonson deal. And
okay. That explains why it was
yeah.
outvoting Turtles.
Yep. Then we have Batman Grendel #1, which got 22% of the vote as well. I've always wanted to read that book, but just never got around to it.
Yeah, Grendel is a blind spot for me. I've always heard it's cool. I've never read any of that stuff, though.
Yeah. And then the #1 winner of the poll, 44% of the vote, Badrock Wolverine #1. This is, of course, the cover. It's Rob Liefeld, right?
There is a Rob Liefeld cover. The cover I've had that I bought in 1996 is a Chap Yaep or whatever. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but he did another cover. So there are two covers. One is the Liefeld cover. I prefer the Chap cover myself, actually. The Liefeld cover is pretty cool, too. I have them both now. I purchased the Liefeld cover out of a dollar bin probably sometime in the last 5 or 10 years.
Gotcha. This era here of 96, my goodness, the companies are just rife with crossovers happening everywhere. Of course, I think we're coming off the heels of Marvel versus DC. Marvel versus DC. So, and then I think we're getting ready to step into the amalgam age of things here, if it hasn't already started. But yeah, people wanted to hear about it, so we're going to be talking about it today. You excited? Are you glad to talk about some Badrock Wolverine?
Oh, yeah. Well, it got my vote.
Okay. All right.
Because I'm always excited to talk about Badrock. Now, as far as the voting, I'm not really that surprised that Badrock Wolverine ran away with it because, Wolverine he's been one of the 3 to 5 most popular comic book characters in the world pretty much since the late 80s.
Yeah.
It's not a surprise that people wanted to hear about Wolverine. And although there are a ton of Rob Liefeld haters out there, especially in our, or I should say, even in our Unspoken Issues community there,
right,
our Unspoken Decade community there are also a ton of defenders and fans of his, so it's not a big surprise that this one won. I did not vote for the Ninja Turtles. We had already talked about that series in a previous episode.
We did
when we covered issue 4 of that Image Comics Turtle series. And I think the reason it probably got such little attention in the voting is I don't think that series is very highly regarded among Ninja Turtles fans. I know Peter Laird bashed it whenever he came back in the early 2000s and did a Ninja Turtles run. He basically said, I believe that Image run was supposed to be a continuation of the Mirage stories. And then when Laird came in and did his own continuation of the Mirage Turtle stuff, he disregarded all that
okay,
and made fun of it in some interview, I think. So I don't think people a lot of people don't like that era as much, even though I'm fond of it. So that's probably why it didn't get much in the way of voting.
I'll never forget when it got released. I bought that sucker right off the shelf. So creative team here. Yeah. Hey, Rob Liefeld's doing the cover, or Chap is also as well. I'm looking at the Chap cover, which does look pretty freaking cool. And the Liefeld cover, daggone, can you get longer claws on Wolverine?
Yeah.
Jeezy criminy.
Yeah, those got to be 2.5 feet.
Chap's going to draw this. He's penciling this thing. But writing this is another Image Comics, very well-known name here. He's one of the Image 7. This is Jim Valentino.
Oh, yeah.
So this is going to be interesting to watch him read this. As you can see on the cover here, if you're looking at the Chap cover, you see Sauron there. A mysterious man with, green-skinned fellow here that has something like a crown or something. He's wearing some type of crown. I wouldn't have known who that was, and I really don't think this is a guy that's a popular Image villain in any way that I know of. What is his name again? Tyrax. Okay. And then, so we're going to be in the Savage Land. If I see Sauron, I kind of figure I'm going to be in the Savage Land. So that's kind of, and I think.
Or he's hanging out with the Brotherhood in the mid-90s.
That's true. And also, the title of the story is called Savaged. So
yeah.
that does give us some context clue as to where we're going to be. Inking this is Jonathan Seibel, lettered by Steve Dutro, colored by Brian Haberlin. So yeah, let's just real quick. This is Wolverine Bone Claw era, at least, right?
Oh yeah.
He has got his adamantium ripped off of his skeleton. But are we prior to No-No's era?
See, this seems like kind of a gray area because I believe the No-No's feral Wolverine era went into the Onslaught, around to the Onslaught era, which is around the same time as this was released. But they didn't go with that here. I got to be honest, although I was all over Onslaught and a lot of the Marvel stuff around 96, I don't think I was reading Wolverine.
You weren't into Wolverine, right? Right.
Yeah, so I'm not 100% hit. But this is not the No-No's Wolverine, but it is Bone. He was Bone Claw Wolverine for quite a while because that the adamantium getting torn out happened in like 93? Yeah, and he didn't get the adamantium back until Eric Larson was doing a Wolverine run in like 97 or 98. Okay. So he went quite a ways without it.
Okay. Well, if you were to tell the people who Badrock is, we've talked about him on here before, but give our listeners an idea of who Badrock is.
Well, he started out as Bedrock before a change name early in the Image era. Every Image founder had a team, had a resident strongman on their squad. Some of them had more than one, like Youngblood, who had Brahma on the away team, Bedrock on the home team. And I've always been a huge fan of Bedrock/Badrock because he was a teenager. He was the same age as me when these comics were coming out, basically. I always drifted towards those characters like Prime, Badrock. Chris Powell, Darkhawk, was a little older than me, but he was a teenager in those days. But he's a young, like a 13-year-old kid. His dad was a scientist. He ended up messing around with some of his dad's experiments. I think maybe he drank a potion or something that his dad had concocted. I can't remember exactly, but it turned him into Badrock, a big, giant, like 8-foot-tall man made of stone. So a lot of people are going to say he's a Hulk ripoff or a Thing ripoff or whatever, but hey, he's his own thing as far as I'm concerned. And he's got that attitude of like everything. He's so big and powerful and invulnerable that like he doesn't really have much fear. He's kind of a kid. Like,
yeah, he doesn't know better sometimes. Like it's
right.
He's definitely got that kind of carefree, naivete or whatever you want to call it.
Everything's just a big adventure for him.
All right. Very good description there.
You mentioned this was crossover heavy era, mid-90s. In addition to the DC Marvel stuff that was going on, Image and Marvel had a lot of crossovers going on. A lot of these were, I think, due to the Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld coming on to Heroes Reborn. I think that's what they do a lot of these. There was a Prophet Cable. I think there might have been 2 of those. There was Youngblood X-Force. There were the X-Men Wildcats crossovers, Team X. Team 7 was one of the crossovers I really liked in that era. There were a lot of them, and they were all pretty much similar to Badrock and Wolverine, these prestige format, square-bound books.
All right. Well, yeah, so this hits the shelves June of 1996. And let's go ahead and let me get into characters that we're going to run into here. You've kind of already talked about Badrock, used to be Bedrock. No need to introduce him any further. We got Wolverine, veteran X-Man. We're not going to talk about him.
Tell me about this Wolverine character.
Never heard of this guy. So yeah, Wolverine, at this point, Bone Claw Wolverine, no adamantium, but he still has his healing factor. He's not feral Wolverine, kind of like what you just said. So we got Sauron. Sauron is a guy, apparently goes by the name of Karl Lycos. He's a mutant energy vampire who can transform or is already transformed into a powerful pterodactyl-like creature. In his Sauron form, he possesses great strength, flight, hypnotic abilities, and a deep hatred for his human identity. And he's working alongside Tyrax, but their alliance is uneasy, to say the least, and Sauron has plans of his own. Tyrax, dimension-traveling conqueror and the ruler of the mysterious city of Arcadia, he moves the city between worlds, gathering soldiers and technology from the places he subjugates. In the Savage Land, he plans to use a mutagenic machine, I think that was created by Magneto, to create an army of dinosaur-human hybrids called, get ready, dinosauroids.
Yeah. Probably could have workshopped that name a little bit.
Right. Does not roll off the tongue. Then you got Ka-Zar. Ka-Zar is going to make an appearance, ladies and gentlemen. He's the protector of the Savage Land, a skilled hunter and warrior who has spent much of his life surviving in its dangerous jungles. He understands the Savage Land's harsh rules better than anyone and serves as one of its primary defenders. And then we have Ka-Zar's loyal saber-toothed tiger companion, Zabu. Intelligent, powerful, and fiercely protective, Zabu helps Wolverine and Badrock navigate Arcadia while searching for his captured friend. Yes, that's right. Ka-Zar is captured. And yeah, it's going to add a wrinkle to things here.
I always like seeing Ka-Zar pop up.
He's a fun character. And then we got a few other Savage Land mutates that are around there. We got Brainchild, I think is the name of one of them. And then Amphibious, which I don't know if he's been around or if he was just created. I have no idea about these guys.
I know some of them. I recognize some of them from X-Men comics, but some of these may have been made up just for this story. I'm not 100% sure.
All right, so here we go. Let's get into talking about the comic. So we open in the Savage Land where a mysterious city called Arcadia has appeared. Arcadia is not a normal city. It has the ability to travel across dimensions, appearing wherever its ruler decides to take it. That ruler is Tyrax, a conqueror who has been moving from world to world, taking from civilizations, collecting soldiers, and gathering technology, and his eventual goal is to return to his own home world with enough power to conquer it completely. Here in the Savage Land, Tyrax has acquired something known as the mutagenic machine, technology once used by Magneto to create the Savage Land mutates. Tyrax wants to repair and repurpose the machine, and he has entered into an alliance with Sauron. Now, calling this an alliance may be generous. Sauron does not appreciate being treated like Tyrax's tyrant. Tyrax is a servant, and Tyrax does not seem particularly interested in treating him as an equal. Sauron wants the machine used on him, but he does not want to become human again. Yeah, this is interesting because I don't know much about Sauron.
I don't know a ton either, but at least by this issue, it certainly seems like it's more of like almost like a Hulk banner thing.
Yeah.
Where they have like two distinct personalities and they don't like each other much.
Yeah, the Sauron personality is a lot smarter, obviously, than Hulk, and Sauron's working on ways to try and just completely get rid of his counterpart. So I think that's what his plan is to try and get this machine, or at least get Tyrax to use the machine so that either Sauron's completely separated from him or just squashes that side of him altogether. I don't think you can separate him, but who knows? Once he gets his human side removed, he is already actually planning on turning on Tyrax. Like, he has no qualms about thinking about how he's going to, he's just going to... There's
certainly no loyalty there.
So what do you think of our setup here so far? We got Tyrax, we got Sauron, we got this crazy dimension-hopping city. We haven't even got a chance to see our heroes yet.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
Interesting enough, this is really just kind of an excuse to throw Badrock and Wolverine together in an adventure. A little odd that they've just made up this villain. There's a Marvel villain involved here, but the villain from the Extreme universe is just totally made up just for this story, which is kind of strange.
Okay.
All
right.
Led to that.
That was kind of my impression because I'd never seen him before. And I know it's tough when you're doing an intercompany crossover. Image did a lot of things right, but So we're talking 4 years since Image got together and put together a comic book universe. Marvel's got a little bit of a head start on them. So they can't just be like, okay, here's our... But I am kind of surprised they didn't use a pretty well-known villain in this thing. Maybe there was a reason for that. I'm sure there probably was, but why not go with somebody else that has a little bit like maybe a 1 or 2 year stay in the Image universe? But anyway, go ahead. I interrupted.
Let me correct myself. I'm kind of scrolling through the Image Comics fandom.
He has a history?
It says only one appearance of Tyrax.
Okay.
Which I assume would be this one, but it also says he appeared for the first time in Youngblood Comics Continuity and Youngblood Yearbook #1. So maybe that was his first appearance, and then he appeared in Badrock. Wolverine.
Now, I've never looked at the yearbooks, but aren't like the yearbooks kind of like a...
Well, I believe the Youngblood Yearbook is what they call the annual,
all right,
for Youngblood anyway.
Okay. All right, then.
So I guess he did have one other appearance earlier before this.
All right, well, we'll give him that. He's got
It also says, in another section, it says first appearance Badrock Wolverine #1. So who knows?
Well, okay, we can narrow it down. He has possibly 2 appearances.
Yeah.
I bet you if you looked at Sauron in 96 and figured out how many appearances he had, I'm going to say it's probably at least 4 times that. Sauron had been around for a while, right? Like his
Oh, yeah, he's since at least the 70s,
yeah.
I think. It might be earlier.
Yeah, so they bring Tyrax in. But your thoughts here on these guys just aren't getting along. It's kind of like marriage of convenience, I guess. Are you cool with the setting? You like the Savage Land? You said you like seeing Ka-Zar.
Yeah,
we haven't got to him yet, but you like the Savage Land in general.
It's always cool to see Wolverine in the Savage Land, I think. I think he kind of fits there.
All right, well, so while this is happening, Wolverine's also in the Savage Land, and he is on vacation. His idea of vacation, though, involves hunting an enormous dinosaur called a Gigantosaurus. We see him, like, hunting this thing. He leaps onto its back. He drives his bone claws into it. He gets thrown into a tree and eventually brings the creature down, I think, after a long struggle. Wolverine lets out this big victory yell, like just like Wolverine would do. And Sauron happens to be flying by, and he overhears it. Sauron immediately recognizes it's Logan that made the scream, and he also is assuming the X-Men are there or possibly on their way. And that
reasonable.
Yeah, I would agree. And they must know that what Tyrax has planned. So he considers actually warning Tyrax, but instead decides that he can handle Wolverine on his own. So he goes down there and attacks Wolverine. Wolverine, of course, senses him coming and moves out of the way. Sauron accuses Logan of trying to interfere with their plan. Big bumbling villain mistake there. Hey, what are you doing here? Why are you messing with our plan? And Wolverine has no idea what he's talking about. It's funny. Wolverine basically tells him that he has no idea of what he's talking about. But if Sauron wants to fight, he's happy to give him one. Sauron decides not to continue the battle, probably a good idea, and flies away, which convinces Wolverine that something is up. So Logan begins following him. We then move to Washington, D.C. and the Youngblood headquarters. The team is being called away for a priority red emergency, and Badrock, well, he wants to go along. Shaft, however, reminds him that he has some studying to do, and they leave him behind. That is one of the things this issue leans into with Badrock. He may be a gigantic stone-skinned powerhouse, but he's still only around 15 years old. He ain't even graduated high school yet. So while the rest of Youngblood leaves on a mission, Badrock is supposed to stay home and study. Well, I'm probably doing the same thing that Badrock does. I've got to do my homework, but damn it, the Sega Genesis is calling.
Oh, yeah.
So he goes, and I think he puts on this virtual reality headset. And while he's using the headset, Badrock accidentally intercepts Wolverine's transmission because Wolverine has decided he's going to reach out to the X-Men for help. Some kind of signal got crossed, and instead of it reaching the X-Men, it ended up coming through Badrock's virtual reality headset or something like that.
Yes, there's some electrical storm blanketing the East Coast.
Oh, that's right. That makes sense.
Giving an excuse for why Badrock is accidentally intercepting.
This is definitely a story that's being told where these two universes have coexisted for a while.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
That's interesting because Marvel and DC and all their crossovers, some of them sort of take place in a shared universe, and some of them they have to transport across universes. They don't know each other. And it's kind of the same, I think, with these Image Marvel ones. Like, I think Cable and Prophet maybe is not a shared universe, and I'm not sure about the X-Men Youngblood. It's been so long since I've read most of those. But yeah, this one is clearly like Badrock knows the X-Men. Wolverine makes references to Stormwatch and Youngblood. So
yeah,
it's all the same.
All right, so Badrock realizes that Wolverine is down in the Savage Land, and he becomes really excited by the possibility of visiting there and meeting the X-Men. So rather than making sure the message actually reaches the X-Men, he takes a Youngblood cruiser and heads down to the Savage Land himself. So, okay, here we have our two heroes. We get to see Badrock, we get to see Wolverine. Any thoughts here so far before we get into the next little section?
The Badrock struggling with getting his homework done. I feel his pain on that. That was me. I'm not a good student at all. I hated school.
Oh, man.
Now, things got better when I picked up basketball, because by the time I guess I would have been like a sophomore in high school.
Uh-huh.
I had picked up basketball, and like you had to maintain a C average to play. And it dropped below at one point, and I missed one or two games, and I was like, damn it, I guess I'm going to have to start studying.
Oh, you held yourself responsible. Yeah.
And so from that point on, I did the bare minimum.
I was a C average student.
I kept my grades up enough to stay on the basketball team.
Yeah, trust me. I completely get it. I didn't have sports to really motivate me. It was more, I was always like deathly afraid of being held back. Like, I don't like deathly afraid. I don't know why, but I think a lot of it, really, a lot of people probably should be, because.
Well, it's embarrassing.
I
know, because
what's
I had to repeat 7th grade.
Oh, man. And that's rough, dude, because.
And that wasn't enough, because even 3 years later, I still didn't care. It wasn't until I had a goal of staying on the basketball team to keep me motivated.
Well, and the thing is that, like, you kind of lose your whole friend set. I would assume, like, you've had all those friends leading up to that certain point, and that's what always scared me. I was like, well, I don't want to now I'm going to be in all these different classes with different people that I do not know. So that always scared me. There were days like I was playing freaking Joe Montana sports talk football that I definitely should have studied and didn't get around to it until like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, crap, I got a test I got to get ready for. So yeah, video games, I completely get it. Completely.
Yeah, when I got held back for had to repeat 7th grade, it actually was kind of good in a way, because I met one of my best friends and the only friend I had throughout my school life that was into comics.
Oh, wow.
So that was cool. But yeah, speaking of video games, bear with me a little bit. This may go too long, but
no. I like talking video games. We can talk.
The year after I graduated high school, one of my best friends was a senior. He was actually a junior the next year. So this would have been 2 years after I graduated. He was a senior. And NBA Live, I don't know, probably 2001 came out, whatever year it was. He was a senior, and we bought it.
This is for the PlayStation. All right.
And we would always get the new NBA Live, and we would create a bunch of players and create teams, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we started playing. We couldn't figure out how to do the create a player mode, and we spent like hours trying to find the menu. Like, we just couldn't figure it out for whatever reason. But we played it for a while, and then I went home because I had to work the next morning. And the next morning, I'm working at Goodies, a family clothing store, and I get over the speaker like, hey, Chris, you've got a phone call online too. So I go to a phone and pick it up, and it's my friend. He had not gone to school that day. He had stayed up all night. This is at like 9 or 10 in the morning. He had been up all night playing this game, and he had finally figured out how to create players.
Oh my gosh. Where was it buried at?
It was a new design on the menus and everything. Like, every year it would be a little bit different.
Yeah.
And it was just, you had to push the arrow one level over, and we just never found it, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had figured it out and stayed up all night creating players and playing this game, and then just didn't go to school the next day. His mom was pretty lenient.
I will say, yeah, that wouldn't have flew very well at my house. I tell you that much. Well, okay, so Badrock, our 15-year-old genius here, decides to hop into a plane and head down to the Savage Land. He's excited. He thinks he's going to meet the X-Men. He's at least going to get to meet Wolverine. Now, back in the Savage Land, Wolverine's watching a group of guards outside Tyrax's facility and preparing to make a move when he encounters Zabu, Ka-Zar's saber-toothed tiger companion. Wolverine asks where Ka-Zar is, and the answer's not good. Ka-Zar's chained inside Arcadia, where Sauron is taunting him. Sauron reveals that Wolverine is nearby, which gives Ka-Zar hope that perhaps the X-Men are coming to help. Meanwhile, Badrock is flying across the Savage Land, filming the dinosaurs with his video camera and making jokes about Steven Spielberg coming there to make Jurassic Park, which is funny. He eventually spots Arcadia and immediately recognizes that a giant futuristic city does not belong in the middle of the jungle. Wolverine sees the Youngblood cruiser flying overhead. He knows it is not the X-Men, but he hopes it may be some other superhero team arriving to help. Tyrax also learns that the aircraft is approaching, but he can barely be bothered by the news. He orders Sauron to kill whoever comes out of it. And at the same time, Tyrax is testing the mutagenic machine on a dinosaur, transforming it into a humanoid reptilian soldier. His plan is to create an entire army of these creatures, which the comic, like I said, calls dinosaur-oids. Badrock lands the cruiser, heads outside, where Sauron and several Savage Land mutates are waiting for him. They order Badrock killed, but the fight goes not according to plan. Badrock punches Sauron in the face, knocks the other attackers aside, and barely reacts when Gaza, one of the mutates, when Gaza hits him. By the time Wolverine and Zabu arrive, Badrock has already handled most of the opposition. That is where our title characters finally meet. Badrock is thrilled to see Wolverine and immediately tells him that he's a fan. Wolverine, looking up at this enormous stone teenager, accidentally calls him Bedrock. Badrock.
I like that.
Yes.
I like that joke.
So did I. Badrock, though, quickly corrects him. Don't want to get sued. Badrock explains how he intercepted Wolverine's call, and Logan asks whether he actually passed the message on to the X-Men. Badrock admits that he did not, which doesn't exactly impress Wolverine. Before they can continue their argument, Sauron emerges and calls out to Badrock. Badrock turns toward him, looks him directly in the eyes. Badrock gets hypnotized. Sauron convinces him that Wolverine is the enemy, giving us the crossover tradition of the two heroes fighting one another before they eventually team up.
You gotta have it.
Badrock sends Wolverine flying into a tree, and Wolverine comes back ready to teach him a lesson. The fight's brief, however. Badrock eventually shakes off Sauron's control and apologizes, and Wolverine accepts that they have more important things to deal with. All right, let's stop here real quick. So I just want to throw something out there. I understand Wolverine doesn't have like his adamantium bones, but
yeah,
man, his adamantium skeleton, I should say. He's getting tossed into trees and shit, and like getting hit, and I'm like, his healing factor's pretty good, but man, he's coming back from stuff like he should be taking a few to get up from.
Yeah, I kind of thought that too. I think one of the things, I don't know where I read this or if I'm even remembering this correctly, but I believe Bone Claw era Wolverine is supposed to have like an even more accelerated healing factor. Yeah, maybe because the adamantium in his bones, maybe it's like his healing factor was always trying to deal with that.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
But I feel like I remember, especially the feral Wolverine era, like his healing factor was amped up even more in that time. But I can't point to where I read that, so I don't.
I feel like you're right too, because I think I've heard that, and you're right. It makes complete sense because the whole reason they put the adamantium in the first place was because of his healing factor, and when you take it out of there, it's like so that does make sense. And he comes back being thrown into the tree and stuff where I'm just like, dang, dude, you will take a few minutes here to get a breather or whatever. I enjoy the fight here, although again, it's not very long.
Yeah, it's only maybe 2 or 3 pages, not counting the big splash page.
Right. Right. Which is fine. I'm fine with it. I guess, got to see. Okay, it's Badrock versus Wolverine. Who's going to win? We should know better. Okay, that's fine. But anyway, what's your thoughts here up to this point here?
Yeah, one thing I want to point out that I really like is Badrock's casual look. He's got the backwards baseball cap.
Yeah.
Wearing a t-shirt and some baggy jeans. I guess they're not jeans. He's just got some cargo pants on and boots. But Badrock's kind of got a variety of different looks throughout his history, in Youngblood and in his own series. And Sometimes he's got the big giant shoulder pad. Sometimes he's got a bunch of guns and ammo all over him. My favorite look is maybe just casual Badrock with the backwards hat, kind of signifying his youth and everything. We get a really cool splash page, double splash of Wolverine and Badrock going at it. Sometimes it seems a little cheesy that they find ways to get these characters to fight before they team up, but you're going to be disappointed if that doesn't happen. That's one of the reasons we want to see these.
That's true. Is that the only double page splash we get in this thing?
Well, I'm pretty sure there's some like single page splashes maybe, but I think that's the only double, and there may not even be any single page. There's a lot of big panels, big images throughout the book. Chap Yaep, however you pronounce it, very cool art style. I really like him. He did the Avengers book that Liefeld was writing for the Heroes Reborn era. I guess Liefeld did some of those pages, but Chap was like the main artist. He didn't have a super long career in comics. I think by the early 2000s, he was doing animation stuff. So, but I like his art.
Yeah, I was going to say, it is off the chain, I think, in this book. It looks fantastic, in my opinion. Some of the action, although I think when I was reading this and kind of like working through my criticisms of it, I felt like I wanted more action. I don't know why, but there's a lot of like, okay, what are we going to do? I really probably should walk that back because we got these guys fighting large dinosaur guys. But for some weird reason, I was like, man, this could have been a little bit more dynamic, maybe.
There are some stretches of a lot of talking and just plot kind of getting decided and stuff like that. So, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. But, yeah, all props to the art team here. Chap and our, oh, my goodness. Sabal, yeah. They did a great job. I think it looks great. It's vibrant. This is definitely, if you handed this to somebody who had never read anything in the 90s and just knew like what the 90s was, I feel like this has got the kind of tone to it as far as like the way that it looks to make you go, okay, yeah, this had to have been something done in the 90s.
Totally agree.
Okay. Sauron returns to Arcadia and warns Tyrax that Wolverine and Badrock are on their way. Tyrax remains completely unconcerned. He doesn't care. He reveals that he has already created a small army of dinosaur-oids and believes his forces will easily destroy the heroes. Sauron is less impressed than Tyrax expects. Their disagreement becomes physical when Tyrax grabs Sauron and throws them aside, finally pushing their unstable partnership beyond its breaking point. Wolverine, Badrock, and Zabu enter Arcadia. Zabu picks up Ka-Zar's scent and heads in one direction, while Wolverine follows Sauron's trail. Badrock stays with Logan as they make their way toward the center of the conflict. At the same time, Sauron attacks Tyrax. Just as their fight begins, Wolverine and Badrock enter the room and find themselves surrounded by Tyrax, Sauron, the savage Land Mutates, and the dinosaurioids. At that point, there is no need for a complicated strategy. Wolverine and Badrock simply start hitting everything in front of them. Elsewhere, Zabu finds the cell where Ka-Zar is being held. The doorway is guarded by Amphibious, a mutated humanoid frog. The actual fight is over pretty quickly because the next time we see them, Amphibious is unconscious and the door has been broken open, and Zabu has been reunited with Ka-Zar. Ka-Zar is still chained, but he's confident that once Amphibious wakes up, he can persuade the mutate that unlocking those chains would be the healthiest decision available to him. Back in the main battle, Wolverine is prepared to kill the dinosaurioids, but Badrock refuses. He says, no, I'm not going to do this. He declares the all-American boy does not kill. Was that something that Badrock was known for? Like, it seemed like an odd choice here. Like, I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, it seems like on some of those Youngblood missions, he was pretty quick to blow people away and stuff. I can't point to a specific instance where I know he killed people, but
for the extreme era, it just didn't seem too extreme.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, anyway,
but you could argue this combined Marvel Extreme universe is its own universe.
It is. That puts him in direct contrast with Wolverine, who sees the fight in a much more brutal way. Sauron also tells Wolverine not to kill the creatures. Please don't. And the distraction gives Tyrax enough time to free himself and order more of the mutates to attack Badrock. Wolverine becomes frustrated because he needs Badrock's help, but Ka-Zar arrives just at the right moment and takes down the mutates surrounding him. Zabu leaps into the battle as well, and Tyrax watches his entire operation collapse around him. So Tyrax decides the battle's lost, runs towards a dimensional portal that he just has hanging out there. Brainchild begs Tyrax to take him along, but Tyrax shoves him aside and escapes alone, abandoning everyone who helped him. With Tyrax gone, Sauron begins reverting to his human identity, Karl Lycos. The heroes still have one major problem remaining: a giant Gigantosaurus transformed into a dinosauroid. Wolverine, Badrock, Ka-Zar, and Zabu prepare themselves for one final fight, but Lycos stops them. He uses the de-evolving ray to turn the creature back into an ordinary dinosaur. Of course, that leaves them trapped in a room with an angry full-size dinosaur. Lycos picks up a weapon and initially appears that he's going to kill it, but instead he blasts a big hole through the wall, allowing the dinosaur to escape back into the Savage Land. The group then plans to use the ray to return the remaining dinosauroids to their original forms. Badrock asks whether they are supposed to arrest the villains, but Ka-Zar explains that the laws of the Savage Land are different. Wolverine tells him that he is thinking like a civilized man, but out here the rules are based on predators and prey, and there are no courts or prisons awaiting for him. Badrock does not entirely understand or agree, but he accepts that Ka-Zar knows the land and its rules better than he does. What are your thoughts here on our final fight, our resolution, freaking Tyrax just dipping and getting the heck out? What do you think?
Never to be seen again, probably.
Well, I don't know. What's your thoughts?
A pretty solid conclusion, especially I like the stuff with the Gigantosaurus, which is a real dinosaur.
Okay.
I looked up, which is longer than a T-Rex, but not as dense and heavy. So it's indetermined, which is actually, I guess, the quote unquote bigger dinosaur. but yeah, that was cool. I like the Badrock getting selfies with Wolverine and Ka-Zar and Zabu. Most of these in the 90s as well, and going back to the early days of these crossovers, they're all kind of just like fairly self-contained popcorn movie style comics. And on that level, this serves its purpose.
Yeah. This is definitely like the summer of 96. I can remember seeing this on the shelf and all the other stuff that was going on in the comic book world. This definitely brings me back to the summer of 96, just because it felt like these two worlds were coming together. I wouldn't say exactly, I call it naturally. This is not a story where it doesn't take you out. Like, you don't have to kind of ask like why these two guys are in the same universe. They just are. Yeah. So, but yeah, I feel like for me, this takes me back to the summer of 96 for sure.
Extreme. You're watching Independence Day at the theater, on your way home out by the comic shop, pick up Badrock Wolverine.
That's right, man.
Pizza Hut on the way back.
Maybe rent a video too. Like, it's the weekend has hit. All right, man. We talked about Badrock, Wolverine. Let's talk about our panel for the book here. I'll let you go first here because mine's going to be nowhere near what you think it is.
Well, that's good because I really only had one good option, which is the big 2-page spread of Wolverine kicking Badrock in the face as they start their fight, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, dude. I was just looking at that. And Badrock's bleeding. I'm pretty sure that's blood.
Yep.
That's a great 2-page splash. So mine, I'm pretty sure this is a 2-pager where it says Badrock, Wolverine, and then there's like claw marks there after you open the book. And I love the X and the Y symbol. Like the badges for the X-Men and then the Y for the Youngblood. Yeah. For some reason, those two badges, I don't know what you'd call them, insignias.
Yeah, I guess, that's as good a term as any, yeah.
They've always stuck out to me. So I'm going with that. So
good stuff.
There it is. We did it. We talked about Badrock Wolverine. We did it, man. Let's get into plugs. What do you got going on over there in your neck of the woods?
I got a couple of movie podcasts I do with my buddy AJ. One is called Small Screeners, where we talk about direct-to-video and made-for-TV movies. We've got another one called Because Movies, where we can kind of talk about whatever we want movie-wise. They've both been on a pretty lengthy hiatus, but we've recently recorded a couple episodes, so hopefully they'll be out in the very near future.
Very cool. Look forward to that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, go check out the Source Material Comics podcast feed. That's where this show is at most of the time. On any podcatcher, you should be able to punch that in. Find it here. We got the Unspoken Issues podcast, 96 number ones rolls on. We got our July poll out there, and I think it's concluded now, the time we are recording this. So if you have a chance, watch out for the August one, because I'm going to try and put that up a lot earlier than I did July's. But yeah, please feel free to get in there and vote and let us know what comic we should be talking about that had a number one issue on the stands in August of 1996. So yeah, that's our Unspoken Issues. We got the Source Material Comics podcast, where coming up, you can hear me and Chris Armstrong talk on that, where we discuss Batman Forever. Was it Forever Night?
First Night.
Forever Night. Batman First Night. That was a great discussion. Had a lot of fun, learned a lot, had a good time. That's going to be airing soon, so keep your eye out on that. And then, of course, me and Evan Bevins get together. We talk Marvel Snap on Snap Material, so that should be, I think we're recording again on Tuesday here pretty soon, covering last month's fun. So we are getting out of here. If I was to ask Chris Armstrong how we would send everybody home on this episode, what would Chris Armstrong say?
Well, Jim Valentino was afraid to do it, but not me. Yabba dabba doom!